Okay. So today, by Sri Lord Sri Krishna's grace, we are going to do a summary of chapter 6, which is very nice, very important, very practical, and easily consumable and applicable, executable, and have our karma yoga properly streamlined. And so what I'm going to do is completely go through the summary and without sharing the screen, because we have gone through enough the shlokas. So I just want you to grasp, or all of us to grasp the summary, and then we can expand on it, because if I go into each shloka, we'll get deviated into those padam. But then the essence is what we are doing and concentrating on this class. I hope you are all able to hear me clear. Yeah, it's no problem. Thank you. So the chapter 6, as we know, is called Atma Samyama Yogaha. Atma Samyama Yogaha. And when before we get into the meaning of this particular word, the context of it is purely what we call as Nidhi Dhyasana. Nidhi means the essence or the tattva. Dhyasanam means that's what you are meditating upon. So meditating upon the essence, what we have grasped so far in the chapter 1 to 5, in a very introspective manner internally, by cognizing this effect internally, and then having that to be executed. So unless the meanings are completely cognized and having absorbed it confirmatively, only then the execution is automatic. So the first is what we call a Shravanam, that is what we have informative knowledge, and then Mananam, that we analyze it with logic and with all the yukti, meaning to say, to even question this way or that way and everything. And then Nididhyasanam is more of internalizing the essence, is what this particular chapter is all about. Now, in the context, so typically I will divide this into about 5 discrete sections. I will send you the summary maybe in a different slide or something like that. So one is context setting. We always take the context from the previous chapters into any chapter, which we do as we are doing in the Bhagavad Gita, which is very important. So we get the thread of that knowledge together. And once we get that context, then the shloka number 1 to 9, there are total of 47 shlokas, and how we are going to divide them into 4 sections. And so the first one, the 1 to 9 shloka, the 9 shlokas, I'm going to call it what's called Samadhi Yogyata Siddhyartham. So Krishna has taken all the essence of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the Ashtanga Yoga, in that as his essence. And so in that yoga, as you know, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Got the 8? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So for that Samadhi, which is the ultimate sublimation in that, how does that steps required for a qualified meditator? That is what is in the shloka number 1 to 9. So as we know in the summary shlokas, summary chapters, I will go concisely like that so that we are able to grasp it in our mind. So the first, which is very important, right? In any faculty we go, the qualitative requirements that one practitioner or executioner must do is important, and that is what covered in the first 9 verses 1 to 9. That I'm calling as Samadhi Yogyata Siddhyartham. Then from 10 to 20, Bhagavan is giving the real sadhanani. That how this yoga of these 8 steps of Patanjali Yoga Sutra is, how that is gone in steps, and some guidance Bhagavan gives. And then from shloka number, I will expand each one of them as we go through this 1 hour class. So then in the shloka number 21 to 32, Sukham Adyantikam Yadyate Buddhi, from that one up to 32, what is again setting is that Sadhya Siddhi Vivarana. Sadhya means the goal. Siddhi, the achievements. So what are we going to? One is qualified entry criteria. then the whole execution practice, then what is the goals and achievements that one will really get. That is what is from 21 to 32 is 12 slokas. There Bhagavan gives how it will see into all those things. The goals and objectives that you can see. Then strangely though, after verse number 32, when Bhagavan said, that Atma Samyama, where Atmopam Yena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Yojana, that one when he finished off at 32. So I'll be skipping slokas, but don't worry. The main thing is to get the essence. Then Arjuna was so inspired with that, ultimate stage that Bhagavan has explained, that how is it even possible for me to put it into practice? So because my mind is wavering, because it's all internal cognition. So he was perplexed as well. How I can control my mind into sit and do all these particular Ashtanga yoga. So Bhagavan said, see, very simple. This is like a wind. Yes, there is abhyasa. So the next one from 33 to 47, the last 15 shloka is all about abhyasa and vairagya, or the real quality of practice and execution, which is applicable for everybody from entry criteria to whatever middle you are, or you are a accomplished yogi or an accomplished yogi. Yeah. For all of them, that is applicable with Arjuna's doubt and Krishna's guarantee as to how, when you execute even one bit of an effort into this, how that does not get wasted, but everything comes in multiplication of results to you. So this is what is the crux of that in 4 parts. Okay, so without much ado, let's get into this. So afterwards, you can also listen to this with the shlokas in what you have grasped before. So, if you want to take more reference. So in the first one, context setting of this particular one, the context from the really comes into this yoga or this meditation or this kind of a nididhyasanam, what Bhagavan is saying from 2 of the shlokas. One is chapter number 4.27. In that, Bhagavan, you would have said, Sarvani Indriya Karmani Pranasam Yani Atma Samyama Yoga Juhvati Jnana Deepiti Atma Samyama Yoga Agnau. Saptami Vibhakti. Atma Samyama Yoga. In that yogam, Jnana Deepite, the fire of knowledge comes enlightened by itself. That is what is being expanded. I think when we did also 4 chapters, Atma Samyama Yoga Agno Juhvati Jnana Deepite Juhvati. That's a Juhvati means that it is like a yoga samyama. And then in the previous chapter in 5.27 again, both like shloka 27. In the 5.22 again, Bhagavan slightly brought Arjuna into the pranayamam. Sparshan kritva bahir chakshuschaivanto bhruvoh prana samau kritva nasabhyantara charino. They are all just nothing but pranayama, focusing on the between the eyebrows, and that's what Bhagavan said in 5.27 as a part of the pranayama. Now, having set that context from those, now the chapter heading itself, when we say Atma Samyama Yogaha, Samyamam, Atma, we understand in this Atma means absolute Atman or the Brahman. Sachidananda Swarupa Atmani. Atma Eva. In that Sachidananda Swarupa Atma, which is absolute, which is uncomparable, inapplicable, infinite, and everything which we know from the chapter 2 and everything, Samyamam is the new word we got. The samyama means that sameness or samatvam, or something is being equalized or being into a single plane is what we kind of literally grasp. What is that samyamaha? Trayam, you can take this word, Trayam ekatra samyamaha. Meaning to say Trayam. What are the 3 aspects in this meditation? There is a meditator, there is an action of meditation, and some object that is being meditative. So, dhyana, dhyatru, dheya rupa. You might have heard it in Lalita Sahasranam. So, dhyana, dhetru. Dhyatru comes, dhyatru means meditator. right? Dhyatru, yeah, it's like pitru. That dhyatru means one who is a meditator. Dhyatru, dhyana, the action of meditation. Dheya, that one which is meditated upon. Samatvam. This is the samatvam in the Atmani. Because all this, the meditator, the meditation, and the meditative goal, everything gets sublimed into that one Sachidananda Swarupa Brahmani Atman. That is why it is called Atma Samyama Yoga. In fact, in the Lalita Sahasranama, when we say Dhyana Dhyatru Dheya Rupa, when we worship the Ambal, we call it Dhyatru Rupa. It can also be Dhyana Dhyatru Dheya Arupa. That is both in form, full meditative with a form, or meditative without form as well. So that is what Bhagavan is taking in this context as the Atma Samyama Yoga. So when we have that heading Atma Samyama Yoga, you get that Samyamam. What is that? Atma Samyama. That I finished. Now next is, let us get into from this verse number 1 to 9. And I said that's about the practitioner or the meditator, how he gets qualified to be a yogi in this karma yoga. And this 1 to 9 again probably can be divided into 3 sections. One is this entry criteria, I said. So in that, Bhagavan really wants to put this one in the highest pedestal of this particular chapter. So the entry criteria is beautifully purification of the Sukshma Shariram, or our internal faculty, being the Buddhi, Manas, and Panchendriyam, Pranam, Indriya, all of them, which you ought to offer in the Atma Jnana. That is the Nididhyasanam. Because we need all the faculties to come into that same cognitive mind to get that sublimation, from where it gets more, what can I say, the strength for the Vairagyam. So the Nididhyasanam, everything is like biggest strength. That even that 5 minutes or that 20 minutes or whatever that we do with all this knowledge and on, gives you a strength for many time that is incalculative. And so what Bhagavan says, because he wants to again have this mostly for the karma yoga. So he says really in this one, this karma yoga itself is, that is the rest of the days as how we do the karma yoga with Apala, this one, that karma yoga itself is the real foundation for the meditation. Without the karma yoga, one cannot sit on this particular Nididhyasana. So that's why Bhagavan, he says, the karma yoga is what is required for the Chitta Shuddhi, where you need to put all the yoga marga from a householder perspective, which is again is the essence of Gita. So that's why the Lord praises the importance of this in the first 3 shlokas. And that is why he said this person is even one step above the sannyasi. Na niragnir na chakricha. He said, even because this is very difficult and he wants you to, but still doable. That's why Bhagavan declared this, the actual sannyasam. And that was what the topic of the last chapter. But he wants, as a karma yogi, this is the type of sannyasam that will really take us path in the mukti. And then Bhagavan talked about 2 persons. Yoga Arurukshuhu and Yoga Arudaha. In that Yoga Arurukshuhu, when we say Arurukshuhu means like Mumukshu. Mumukshu means what? Moksham Icha. That means Ichu. That means you are interested or you are totally dedicated, committed into the moksha. That is why you call mumukshu. So yoga arurukshu means one who has got that complete commitment and dedicated into becoming a yogi is a yoga arurukshu, like all of us here. And yoga arudaha means one who has already climbed on top of, who has already ascended the yoga, is a total yogi, yoga arudaha. So Bhagavan, he said, for one who is ascending to be a yogi, like yoga arurukshu, The path of karma yoga is what is important for a chitta shuddhi. And the person who has already used yoga arudaha, for him, let him take the sannyasa. And then he said, Yadahi nendriyarteshu, to give a kind of a litmus test to yourself. He said, Yada hi nendriyarteshu na karmasvanusajjate sarvasankalpasanyasi yogarudastadochyate. So if you really think that you are not afflicted by anything in the fruits and or in the actions or in any of the afflictments in this one, then you can call it as a yoga arudaha, which we are not, most of us. Otherwise, we won't be sitting in this class. So what Bhagavan is saying is, only for him that sannyasa is applicable. Most of us being yoga arurukshu, this marga itself is pave a good path for nididhyasana. And the only difference is the degree of dispassion. Yoga arudaha, he's got a complete dispassion. That is why he has left from the material walks of life and gone. But for us, the dispassion is there, but it's in a very progressive manner. That is why we are yoga arurukshu, and that is why Bhagavan put that litmus test. And then Bhagavan said very important one from the 7, 8, and 9. Uddaret atmanatmanam. I'll only give small phrases so you take it from there. But he said, look, even if you are a yoga arurukshu, you have to make that first step. And there is a self-effort required in everything. That's why he says, Atmana Atmanam Uddharet. Meaning to say, when we said Atmana, that means using all the faculties of Buddhi, Jnanam, Indriyam, everything. Atmanam, that particular your own faculties and everything which is have to come into Atmanam, that is the mind. So, in this first Atmana, again I'm coming to say, Atma Jnanena. Atma Jnana, because Jnanam is the strength by which you can uplift. How can I say, like, I lift myself means, how do I lift myself? That's a kind of, who is the lifter and what is being lifted. So the real lifter is the Atma Jnanam. The Jnanam is the real lifter. That is why Shravana and Manana was done. That is what is going to lift you. Lift what? The mind, body, and senses. Meaning to say, lift means what? They come into his control. Once something come into your control, you can lift it or drop it, whatever you want. But what he says, uddhare, lift it upwards. Don't drop it. That's a free will. That's what Bhagavan says. Atmana, with the Atma Jnanena, Atmanam, this body, mind, and all your faculties, uddhare. Meaning to say, uddhare meaning to say, yes, grasp it into your control, so that you can be a qualified practitioner for nididhyasanam. And then Bhagavan went to say, Jitatmana Paramatma Samahitaha. So this Jitatmana, one who has won over that, won over this BMI, established in the absolute self, Prashantatma Paramatma Samahitaha. And then he says, the ultimate passion. Right? That is what he said about Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijitendriyaha. That it is again about that again he talked about the Triptatma Kutasto Yogi Samanoshtashnaka. No. Eighth one was that Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchate Yogi Samanoshtashnaka. In that he says Yogi iti Uchyate. That person is called the true yogi, who has got that Jitatmanaha. So it was all more the praising about even in the initial stage as you are climbing up to a yoga arurukshu to practice that one. And he talked about in the verse number 9, that how he has got a samatva bhavana, sugrun mitra arjuna sida madhyasthat dvesha bandhushu. Same thing like with the vidya vinaya sampannaha. The chapter number 5, same thing he said. He has got a vision of equality in the whole world. whether he is executing something or he's been subjected into in the practice in these walks of life, he has got a equal vision. That's what he says. Sugrun mitrarjuna sina madhyastha dvesha bandhushu sadhushvapicha papeshu samabuddhir visishyate. That Visheshanam of that particular equal vision, Bhagavan said about that yogi. And in the verse number 10 again, Bhagavan, he said, what he said about Atmanam Sadatam Yunjita. That's what he said in chapter number 10. Yogi Yunjita Satatam Atmanam Rahasistitaha Ekaki Yata Chittasya Nirashira Parigraha. In that, what we have to take is Yogi Atmanam. Atmanam means that Atmajnanam Satatam Yunjita. All the time that Bhagavan comes, let this accomplished yogi now sit in the Atma Samyama Yoga. Alone. That is says ekaki. Alone. So this Nididhyasanam is well practiced only alone. Ekaki. Yata chittasya nirashira parigraha. With no belongings. No desires. Whatsoever, in secrecy. Even in that few minutes that we do, we completely renounce as if I'm a complete sannyasi. Sit in that particular meditation for going into that. That's what he says, Atmanam. Let him now offer his intellect. Mind and sense organs in the Atmajnanam. Including this as a physical activity, which we call as Dhyanam. That's what Bhagavan came into the 10th verse. He said about Yogi Yunjita Satatam Atmanam Rahasi, in secrecy, or secrecy means what? That let us not tell the whole world. It's a very personal activity. Yunjitam Rahasi Sthitaha Ekaki and Yata Chittatma Nirashira Parigraha. Parigraham, whatever we have, our house, my balance and everything, forget about that and sit in meditation. That's what Bhagavan told about verse number 10. Now from 11 to 20, the sadhanani, that's when Bhagavan started, okay, now I'm ready to sit in meditation in that Nididhyasanam. Not as we said, this meditation is not like a typical, like on the other day I was going near my house, near the station. They put like a person, so many people they have to cater. They put Vedic meditation. And then they also put Vedic healing, Vedic massage. I don't know what all this Veda being used for all marketing purpose. They put Vedic healing, Vedic massage. So it's just like a mental. Some of time they put it like a mental massage. It's not like that. That's not what meditation we are talking. It's a very serious one. It's not like a therapy. It's not a therapeutic cure. That's not what Krishna is saying here. Which is what it is okay. People have taken this IP into taking it as a kind of a relaxation into everywhere. You will go and see in Fitness First or even gym and everything also you will see, but that's okay. That is what, if that gives a peace of mind to some people, that improves their life, let it be. That is fine. We are not saying anything aversive to that. All we are saying is, here Krishna's thing is about moksha. And with that Atma Jnana. It is not a simple one that we can do. The reason I wanted to say this, ekaki. You cannot sit with a group of people into some kind of a meditative session. It's a very personal attitude. And that's why Bhagavan starts with verse number 11. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya sthiramasanam atmanaha nati uchritam nati nicham chailajina kushotaram. We saw that, right? Now, in the Ashtanga Yoga, again, I'm going to come a little bit because I'll be concentrating through that. So that gets a good foundation. Before coming to asana, there are the first two steps in the this yama niyama. Yama means that control of that yama, that is some discipline in the walks of life, in everything. Right from the morning we get up, what we work in our work, or when we are driving up the road or going to shopping center, everything there's a yamam, the discipline. So he has observed the discipline. Then niyamam. Niyamam means that is very personal. So yamam is mostly external, but external observance of discipline. Then niyama means in internal discipline. External discipline can easily be observed and can be corrected by others and everything. But niyamam is your own internal discipline. If something that you have to remain fast, you people all have your own niyamam. You will say, look, I'm going to remain in a fast up to when I finish this particular paran. That's your own internal. Who can tell you whether you have eaten or not, or whether you have not done? That's internal. That's not questionable, not kind of judgeable. But that helps a lot in the next one of asanam. Yama, niyama, then asanam. So in this particular 1 to 10, you can probably take lot of them as yama and niyama, which is already covered there, which is very much external, yama external, niyamam internal, then asanam, which is external again. So that is why Bhagavan said, Shuchau deshe pratishtapya stiramasana atmanaha. So from this particular one, when he did about Suchau Desha and everything, what Bhagavan wants to say is, let the place be sattvic. Everything sattvic. When we go to the everything yoga in this particular Gita is connected. When we come to the 14th chapter, you'll read more about it. That everything being sattvic is a very conducive environment for the meditationer. So right from the asana. The asana means that particular mat or wood or anything that we keep to sit and do, that is very, very conducive. Let that be sattvic. Bhagavan, he says, let that be your asana, be your asana. Do not share with others, or do not have the asana with somebody else, or use somebody else. Avoid. That's all what one is saying. It is better. The more and more we inculcate, even that asana, like, all of you might have known, even your own house, when you are reading this Gita, when you are doing this one, that brings a lot of sattvic environment into you. Those bricks, walls and floors, everything can talk to you. You may not know, but that impulse a kind of a sattvic thing. The minute you sit, oh, I've not sat there, something impulses you. So that sattvic element in the physical entities around you is very important. That's what Bhagavan says. Suchau deshe. That desha means what? That place, whatever you are hovering about in your house, that's very important. That is very conducive. And in that, again, your asana where you are sitting, let that be also be very conducive and sattvic. And then Pratishthapya Sthiramasana Atmanaha. Then not Yuchitam, not Nicham. That is what people like, if you don't sit in too high or small and everything, that, if you're doing some river banks and everything. And then he said, Chailajana Kushotaram, that if you can have those kind of a deer skin or a good Durva grass mat and everything, they are again good purifying sattvic elements that can also be physically be conducive. That's what Bhagavan, he said about from the external purification to internal purification, which is mostly obtained through yama niyama. And then he said, align that samam kaya shiro grivam, that right from your the backbone and your grivam, which is the neck, and shiraha, your head, let them all be in one line. Let them stoop down or lie down or go in that posture. Let it be as aligned, because from there aligns the complete meditation as well in a conducive manner. That's what he said. And then straight away Bhagavan, he has already converted the pranayama. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Yeah. What Bhagavan said there is, matparaha yukta asita. When you are going to sit in that one, what is your very important one in Bhagavan said in 14? Matparaha yukta asita. That one goal. At that time, we want to matparaha, matchittaha. Your chittam, your thoughts, let it be focused on me as Lord Vasudeva, Lord Amba, anything, your Gurunatha. Even Gurunatha is very, very, because you are seeing him every time. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine. There is no difference between the Guru and Ishvara. There is no Bedam. The most important, closest one for meditating is Gurunatha. He's there. He's in your walks of life when you have seen him. So, anyway, that is in the meditation. Mat paraha, mat chittaha, yukta asita. Let that your thoughts be completely be focused on him. or the Lord, Vishwa. So in that what Bhagavan says, but pranayama is kind of already covered in the pranayama. Again, I'll keep going. The pranayama is that because the chittam, the mind, is like a vayu, Bhagavan is said. And that is why the prana, the more we control, the mind as if is easily drawn through a physical control. So that's why pranayama. Then pratyahara. Pratyahara means, ahara means what? You take something and eat, consume anything is pratyahara. Even I am going to, no, ahara does not mean only for eating. Like I may go for a sightseeing. Say, for example, you see something new. That is also ahara for the eyes. Ahara for the music. You go for a music show. So pratyahara means what? The reverse of that. Reverse of ahara. Where ahara, the indriyas go outside, grab something, come inside. Now, pratyahara means the organs go inwards and then get that knowledge. That's what is pratyahara. Take it from the word of ahara. Prati ahara becomes pratyahara. Prati means every time reverse. Reverse of ahara is pratyahara. Meaning to say, let my eyes, let my ears, let my mouth, let everything be internalized into that one Atman. That Bhagavan said, mat chittaha mat paraha. That is where japa is very, very conducive for pratyahara, because the japa, we think about the devata that is given to you by your guru, and then when you do the japa, that automatically brings the pratyahara by that guru's kataksham. Automatically it draws pratyahara, pranayama, pratyahara, and then dharana comes in. Your shloka 15. युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसः शान्तिं निर्वाण परमां मत्संस्थाम् अधिगच्छति एवं सदा आत्मानं युञ्जन्. That's what is the 15th, very important. Sada atmanam yunjan. So what Bhagavan says, it is like a living in meditation, but it is like a wave which is moving in, or whatever the thoughts being going in that one, let it all be in that one Bhagavan, that you are getting your thoughts being focused. That's what Bhagavan said in 15. So that is what is called dharana. Again, dharana is again more explained in 16 and 17. 16 and 17, sorry, it's more of a regulated practice which is important for the dharana. That's why Bhagavan said, Natyasnatastu yogosti nachaikantam asnataha. Then even 17, yuktahara viharasya. Those 16 and 17 are more for the regulated practice while engaged in your daily activities. Meaning to say, the eating, sleeping, engagement in actions, if they are all in moderation, then the this particular dharana becomes very conducive. So, meaning to say, Bhagavan said, if you think there is more of wavering, that it is not being able to conducive, question yourself about what is the kind of your activities. Maybe you had a very busy day. You've been, that's what one Swamiji was saying. He was probably in the ashram doing more of constructions, and he was asked to do that. And then he told his guru, Guruji, whenever I sit, I only think about brick, mortar, and then paint and everything, because I'm only there. What to do? So then that because mind is just nothing but a impression of the current activities what we have done, right? So in that also Bhagavan said, let that be in moderation. If it is not in moderation, Bhagavan says, okay, do not attempt to kind of unnecessarily force your mind. So that's why Bhagavan says these things are very important, that you are or if you have done a full stomach, then we can't sit for meditation. So that's what was 16 and 17. And in 18, Bhagavan went about to say, Yada viniyatam chittam atman eva vatishtate nispraha sarvakamebhyaha yukta ityuchate tada. Tada. In that moment, when atmani eva avatishtate, in that alone, dharana. Now dharana. If that without this yuktahara, everything that you have done, now the dharana comes that it automatically remains, it doesn't move anywhere. Then you can say yukta ityuchate. That is the time you can say, I have attained that dharana. And it is a nispraha sarvakamebhyaha yukta ityuchate tada. So here Bhagavan says yoga yukta. Yoga yukta, that one who has got his yukti in that definition of that particular, is now come into a state of almost yoga arudaha, but not still yoga arudaha, yoga arurukshu, who has now gone into the dharana stage. That's what Bhagavan said in the verse number 18. And again 19, dharana means dharana means what? Uphold, right? And that uphold is what? That particular meditative state of that machitaha matparaha, of the Parameshwara, or the Bhagavan, whom we have taken as in a form in that particular meditative mind. And that when it is also that well established, Bhagavan says it is like a jyoti which is burning very neat when there is no wind. Yata deepo nivatastaha nengate sopamasprita. That particular verse number 19. Yogino yata chittasya yunjate yogamatmanaha. So Bhagavan says that is absolute dharana stage that is now very easily merging into the dhyana. That is why he said nivatasta deepaha. That the meditative state of mind is like the jyoti, which is resplendent in his between the eyebrows, that with nothing else that comes, no thoughts to even waver that. That's a kind of a thoughtless state. I don't want to say because people many thoughtless state, but the thought is on Bhagavan. We cannot immediately perceive that. So it is the dharana stage of that Bhagavan, that the meditative mind is completely focused upon without any this thing. That's what Bhagavan did in 19. And then in the verse number 20, Bhagavan uh, brings into the samadhi stage. So we did the pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Dhyana is the seventh one. Samadhi is the eighth. So Bhagavan comes to the dhyana in verse number 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. Now, how did I say this verse number 20 is dhyana? Because niruddham chittam. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the dhyana is defined as yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga, yogas chitta vritti nirodha dhyana ityuchate in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. That is why Bhagavan exactly bring that niruddham. He said, yatra uparamate chittam, chittam yatra yoga sevaya, niruddham chittam uparamate, niruddham, that's what a chitta vritti nirodha. Niruddham chittam uparamate. Uparamate means it enjoys in that. Enjoys means what? It is completely immersed. When it is enjoyed totally in that one, it cannot be shaken. That is what Bhagavan calls it as samadhi in shoka. Uparamate. Yatra cha atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. Atmanam. So in that there is no seer, there is no meditator, and that is where Bhagavan says this is the absolute dhyana, when the triputi of the meditator, the meditative object, and the action of meditation, everything is come into that oneness. That dhyana, that is Bhagavan, that's a samadhi in verse number 20. So verse number 20, Bhagavan and then we says yatra means, was it yasmin kale, by the practice of yoga it starts getting naturally drawn, uparamate, naturally drawn into this niruddham chittam. He rejoices in the supreme self. Now the nididhyasanam has materialized with the verse number 20. And from verse number 21 to 32, we said about sadhya siddhi vivarana. in the sadhya, now Bhagavan goes little bit more in that samadhi. Now Bhagavan gets into the samadhi stage in this nididhyasana, in this one. So, and in that, Bhagavan kind of takes both savikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi. So in the 21, he says, Sukam adyantikam yadyat buddhigrahyamati indriyam veti yatrana chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. So in that, Bhagavan says, buddhigrahyam atindriyam. This particular one, this ultimate bliss, which in that meditative state that you cognize, it is neither perceptible by any of the senses. Buddhigrahi atindriyam. Atindriyam means it is beyond the senses of perception. That is what it is. And this only the yogi realizes himself. And then once he realizes, he never falters from there or swerve from this sthiti. Atma Swarupa Darshanam. That's what Bhagavan takes it from the samadhi into that stage of number 21. Stitaschalati, stitaschalati tattvataha. Tattvataha stitaha. Tattvataha stitaha. Every time. That is why the nirudhyadanam, because that particular cognitive one, stitaha, that stitaha. And in 20, what Bhagavan says, once this yogi has gone into the samadhi stage of getting that self-knowledge so much into him in a concrete fashion, he does not crave for anything beyond that. That is what he said in 22. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha yasmin stitona dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. So how does he knows about it? That this particular, he is now anything, na guruna api. Guru means here, guru means heavy. Dukkhena. Even if that could be the heaviest of because everybody as a human being in this life has to have some kind of a which is normally called as sukham and dukkham. He is into that. But he does not get faltered or he does not get shaken by na guruna api vichalyate. He doesn't shaken by any kind of miseries that it may come into this particular, after this attain this particular proper samadhi stage. That's what Bhagavan says. When we say samadhi stage, it is not a temporary one. Again, I just want to say it. So that's why that's why all Swamiji say, keep on saying that this is not the stage that we attain. This is just the knowledge what we have studied before, which is self only recognizable. You can never reveal it to others. It is only by his own cognition that he gets this one nididhyasanam. That is why it is not a stage that, okay, one day I will get this samadhi stage, then I will be. No, it's not a stage. Because whatever stage you attain, there's always a fallback. It is your natural stage. It is my natural stage. It is all of our natural stage. That natural stage, that when it's revealed, and in which that whole knowledge has been completely been, I can't even put a word to it, then that is what is that particular one of, I wouldn't even give a stage, but there is a walks of life that Mukshu comes into that yoga arudaha. At this time is a yoga arudaha. In that, from a yoga arurukshu stage, it's a yoga arudaha, but it is not something that can be perceptible by senses. That we must always, that is why Bhagavan said, buddhi grahyam atindriyam. So that we have to keep on minding it, that okay, one day I will sit and there is going to be a spurt of jyoti, and then my body is going to shiver, and then now I have got a, no, it is not like that. If that is something that we get, probably we have eaten something wrong or something, it will ever go away. So it is never a particular stage that you can get it, that you can perceive like any other external perception. That internal perception again is not, can be recognizable by indriyam. So that always we must keep. That's why Bhagavan said, buddhi grahyam atindriyam, atindriyam. That again we must be very careful in that particular stage of the samadhi. And then Bhagavan said about in verse 54. Oh my God. Okay, I'll add quickly. That's why I'm trying to rush, because if I get the shloka in front, it will get delayed. That is why I'm trying to get it quickly. So Bhagavan said, and in the chapter number, this particular 6, verse number 23 is a very unique definition of yoga. And Bhagavan says, this is actually the yoga that one must appear. He says, Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga yogam dukkha sanyoga viyogam yogam samgitam. But what Bhagavan said in that is, yoga is not, because yoga by the literal meaning of the dhatu means to join something. But Bhagavan completely took the other way. Yoga, what he says is disjoining. Disjoining it what? Dukkha sanyoga viyogam. Because beautiful this is. What we are all is, we are all one yogi now. Put it that way. What kind of a yogi? Dukkha sanyogi or samsara yogi. Yogi means yunjate. So for us now, where we are now attached our mind is dukkha sanyogam or samsara sanyogi. We are all samsara yogi. So Bhagavan said, viyogam, from that when you come out of it, or when that is dispelled, when that detachment comes, then you are a yogi. So Bhagavan said that which falls by itself, which is shedding by itself, that dukkha sanyoga viyogam, that is truly the yoga. Meaning to say, there is nothing that I have to go and join, because you are already that. It is only the wrong perception of your anatma, where you are thinking as yourself, that naham atma, naham chittam, naham deham, that particular one. From there, when you get with the jnanam, that is what Bhagavan says yogi. That is why he said is about dukkha sanyoga viyogam. That detachment is not something that I have to totally detachment, because it gets detached by itself, by the jnanam. That is what the verse number 23 was very important. And the 24 and 25, sankalpa prabhavan kaman, what Bhagavan was telling is, leading into the ultimate sadhyam. Meaning to say that sadhyam means what I said, what is the goals and objective that Bhagavan was taking into the nirvikalpa samadhi. And manase vendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. And that when Bhagavan is saying, having renounced all the objects, how desired by the volition. Volition means what? Your superimposition of a worth in a worthless object. That when we lose the worth of that, that is what Bhagavan says is detachment. It is all about our not affliction, by our impression of worth. When the worth in that Atma, in your self-happiness or in your self-knowledge, when that comes more, that's what Bhagavan says is absolutely your sadhyam. That is what Bhagavan is again and again saying, that mind having thus rest in the peace of the Supreme Self. And that also Bhagavan says, do not worry, shanaihi, shanaihi, shanai uparamed buddhya dhriti grihitaya atma samstham manakritva na kinchidapi chintayet. And Bhagavan says, yes, it is a slow process. Shanaihi Shanaihi uparamed buddhya dhriti grihitya. So this buddhi, with what this Atma Jnanam, that when it gets more and more steady, then this automatically, slowly goes away. Shanaihi. And Atma Samstham Manakritva. That Atma Samstham means what? In that, into that absolute self, where you are having your knowledge of the dividing of the worthless objects, when that is got more and more concrete, na kinchitapi chintayet, do not let that thoughts again go back into the worthless object. And that is a definite thing that we have to say every time we sit into the meditation. That's what again Bhagavan says, shanaihi uparamet. And at this stage again it is a asamprajya samadhi, meaning to say direct sublimation. It is it's observed self. And then in verse number 26, Bhagavan says, yato nischarati manaschanchalamasstiram tatastato niyam yaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. And again Bhagavan says, this even for this is could be applied for all the practitioner yoga or urukshagu, and that even in this it is. So what Bhagavan wanted to say is this is still applicable for a yoga or urukshagu. Yes, when you sit in that samadhi, one day it could be very well, the other day when you are trying to do it, it could be wavering somewhere, but you have to what he says, yato nischarati, where when and when, wherever from where it is going there, manas chanchalam, because manas is like that chanchalam, tatastato niyamaitat, from that draw it back to that same one. Na kinchitapi chintayet. Do not do worry about anything why this is faltering, because this is the true state of, this is the mind's true faculty. Again we have to question about our vairagyam, and that's what Bhagavan has told you coming into the subsequent verses. And when sloka number 27 again he said about prashanta manasam yesam, that is all about the fruits. 27 and 28. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaka sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham ashnute. That once he has got into this one, atyantam sukham, meaning to say this is a one, there is no antam. Atyantam means beyond any end. This is a endless sukham. That this yoga arudaha, once he gets into this particular nirvikalpa samadhi, from where he is ever able to get in and obtain this one, he gets a atyantam sukham. That's very important. Atyantam sukham. And then the goals and objectives having fixed in the 29 to 32, the 4 sloka, Bhagavan said about even the last one, and we said about this is where the Advaita Sakshatkaram. And after this one, he gets into the Advaita Sakshatkaram, Bhagavan he said. And verse number 29, we said, Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam, Sarva Bhutani Chatmani, Yikshate Yoga Yuktatma, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. That Sarvatra Samadarsanam, in that one we said was a Tvam Artham. Tvam being the Tat, Tvam Asi. Tvam means from the Jivatma perspective. From the Jivatma perspective, he has got a equality vision, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. One he said on one. And in the verse number 30 is from the Tatpadartham, meaning to say from the vision of the Paramatma. And from the vision of Paramatma, from Ishvara, he did a very beautiful one. And I said, Tasyaham Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, Sarvatra Mai Pashyati, Sarvam Cha Mai Pashyati, Tasyaham na Pranashyami, Sachame na Pranashyati. So that very simple meaning, what Bhagavan said was, neither he goes away from me, or neither I go away from him. That's all what Bhagavan says. Sachamena pranashyati means na parokshatam gamishyati, meaning to say this is a aparoksha jnana abhuti, aparoksha anubhuti. People who know, when you say aparoksha anubhuti, that your cognition of this particular realization with the Jivatma and Paramatma is absolute. And this is completely not, now he has got into a stage where all the other means are only an external entity for which he's a Jivan Mukta. He's a Jivan Mukta. That's what Bhagavan said in about number 30. From the Aparokshanubhuti. And then in 31, that Asi, or that equality is more, Bhagavan says, Sarva Bhutastitam Yomam Bhajat Ekattvamastitaha Sarvata Vartamanopi Sayogi Mai Vartate. This Jivan Mukta Yogi, even when Sarva Bhutastitam, even Yomam, Sarva Bhutastitam Yaha Mam. So that which Bhagavan, who is there everywhere, he has got the Akantagara Chitta Vriddhi, that he is able to see the Lord in everywhere outside and also in him. And that is the absolute Aparokshan, Advaita Sakshatkaram. Bhagavan is the Asi. Jivatma and Paramatma, he does not see any difference between that. And that this is what is a Tattvamasi, Advaita Sakshatkaram, finishes with the verse number 31. And 32 is more of a prashamsham of that, or the praise of that particular Jivan Mukta Yogi. And Bhagavan says, Atma upam yena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadiva dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. He said, this Jivan Mukta yogi, who is thus having an equal vision in himself and in the outside world with the Akandakara Vriddhi, he is a Paramo Mataha. He says, Parama Mata. He is, in my opinion, Paramaha. He is in absolute stage. And that's what Bhagavan ended with that. After Nididhyasanam, Aparokshanubhuti, and with Aparokshanubhuti, he is the Jivan Mukta yogi. And the Jivan Mukta yogi, Bhagavan, he said, is a Advaita Sakshatkara yogi who is the Paramamataha. Now, Arjuna got all of them. And so in the next one, from 33 to 47, Arjuna got so inspired about this equality of vision, but Bhagavan has taken this through Ashtanga Yoga. And he wanted to now say, wow, this is looking like a very far reaching goal that you have set it upon me. And whereas my mind is still wavering, and whereas you are talking about, Atma upamyena sarvatra, and then you are saying even yata deepo nivatastaga. For me, yata deepo, but my mind is only like a flickering deepa. Forget about deepa, whether there's even a jyoti, I don't know. It is flickering so fast. And what will I do about all these things? So he says, Arjuna says, like most of us, oh Krishna, I am in that kind of a state. Ayati Shraddhaya Pitaga Yoga Chalita Manasaga, my mind is ever wavering. No. What he said is, Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaga, Samyana Madhusudana, Etasyaham na Pashyami. I'm not even able to visualize. So how can I ever even get into this? So for that, Bhagavan, he said very simply, Abhyasena Kaunteya, Vairagyena Grihyate. This is a universal formula Bhagavan has said. Whatever stage you are there, Arjuna, this requires two things, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Again. And when he said about Abhyasa, in fact, we should take the Vairagya first. The Vairagya or the dispassion is the real seed. And the real seed for the meditation of that Vairagya comes from the Viveka. The Viveka means that discriminative capacity that your intellect is able to perceive and analyze it. Because we had an informative knowledge. That informative knowledge, you are subjecting it into your own introspective analysis or the vichara. After that, only you get some confirmative knowledge. We cannot cheat ourselves, right? Like most of us, we know that. But then how does that becomes more confirmative is again and again doing the vichara. In every incident that we face in life, when we apply that and see, yes, naham deha, my body got some kind of a problem, but then I'm coming, but still I am not shaken with my Atma Jnanam. That is what is giving me the strength. So in our life, more and more, or even when you're unhappy, we say, look, I'm not getting so truffled by this happiness. It's okay. It's happening in my home or in my neighborhood or in my environment. That's fine. I will not get too much involved into that. Then you know that this particular Vairagya is getting more and more urjita, or it is getting strong. With this Vairagya, and Abhyasa is in all the stage. That's why Bhagavan says Abhyasa. Abhyasa, right from getting the knowledge, and then Abhyasa. So Abhyasa is just nothing but, the practice. Practice means what? This steady process of applying the knowledge or learning the knowledge in Shravana and in Manana and in that particular introspective knowledge, and in all of them the Abhyasa goes. And Abhyasa goes up to the end. Only for a Jivan Mukta, he does not need Abhyasa, but he also does Abhyasa just for the Loka Sangraha. So Bhagavan, he said, the only way to grasp your mind, Arjuna, is this Abhyasa and Vairagya. And that is a universal formula. We've seen enough in the previous ones. And what is that? 4 different Vairagya and all, we talked about it. Then Krishna, Arjuna got the formula for his mind so that he can also get into this qualified meditation practice. But he says, look, I'm now got to fight the war, and now I'm getting into this karma yoga, because he still, imagine, Arjuna is getting into the karma yoga like most of us. So he says, when will I get into this, and when will I get into the stage of yoga yuktaha, or even yoga arurukshu, and then when will I become yoga arudaha? Then is it a kind of a continuous life or continuous effort in every life that I climb, I falter, I fall, and again climb? So when will this ever accomplish yoga arudaha, and when will I become a yogi? And you only know Krishna because you have told me in chapter number 4, you know all my births before, after, and what is going to happen. So you tell me how this is going to happen, how this is going to take shape. And that's what we saw in detail from Bhagavan Vacha from 40 to 47. Bhagavan, he said, I'm giving you this guarantee. Every step you take in this abhyasa, okay, every step like what we take in getting the knowledge, even to analyze one word, that knowledge, Bhagavan, he said, is permanent. That knowledge is ever going to shine in you. Nobody can take that knowledge away. This body can go, this mind can go, because mind is only is a temporary resplendent of thoughts which is only in this janma. But that which is more in your buddhi, that I will always bring it to you. Because the buddhi, even though I told about utkramanam and everything, even though it can go from subtle body to different physical bodies, I will bring it about this particular book with this buddhi. That's what Bhagavan he said about even the transient stages. And he said, nahi kal so naha utra vinashas tasya vidyate. And vinashaha, very very important, I told you about purasmat hina janma prapti, meaning to say your janma also will be only in an ascending step. Because we know every birth, I'm not guaranteed I'll get the human birth or even any birth that is conducive. Bhagavan, he said, no, the minute you have stepped into this abhyasa, I guarantee you, you will only get a birth in the subsequent stages, which is only be better than what is here now, which will be more conducive. The environment in your buddhi and in the faculty, your indriya, because all these things have to function. So everything from a functional aspect of your body, physical body as well, he says, I will equip you with the enough faculty that you will only progress positively. So that guarantee, Bhagavan, he said about, about all those things we have seen, and then, or for somebody who is even ascended into a very higher stage, he says, yoginam eva kule bhavati. We saw that is daridana, meaning to say that you will be, that house itself will be yogi. And then what Bhagavan also said is this this purvabhyasam, this abhyasa again. So the Bhagavan said about lot of things about abhyasa. Purvabhyasena tenaiva kriyate havashopisaha. So this power of abhyasa in this abhyasa of this Atma Jnana is so powerful. He said, you will, that itself will grasp you from, yeah, from even the subsequent birth into this particular knowledge, into this realm of your inquiry. You will do it yourself. Nobody even have to kind of trigger you, but somehow it will come to you. And that Bhagavan, he said in his guarantee about purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate havashopi saha avashaha api hriyate, will bring you into that particular path back where you have left it. And you are, and he said, yogasya jignasu api shabda brahmadivate. Person who was even heard it as a bypasser, even he gets a lot uplifted. What to say, Arjuna, about you if you have practiced it from previous births in this particular um, Atma Samyama yoga, or this Karma yoga. Basically, it's Karma yoga, which is the path for the Atma Samyama yoga. So Bhagavan again said about the foundation of Karma yoga. So he finished up with the last shloka, Tapaspibhyadiko yogi. That one again, when Bhagavan finished everything, he says, yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. So again, Bhagavan, he said, in what is the more important in all these things, yaha shraddhavan, the shraddha, that guru upadesham, and in the shastra, that vishwasa, that yes, this will fetch me that particular jnana, and that jnana is in me, and the jnana is cannot be removed from me, and the jnana is only one which is going to promulgate me more and more. And that jnana, though it is completely spiritual, the material will automatically come to be conducive. I don't have to worry about it. That kind of a shraddha, when it is more and more endued into this particular spiritual aspect, so that Bhagavan, he says, madgatena, with a complete surrender unto him, vishwasaha antaratma mam bhajate. With all one have it internalized that Lord, antaratma. Which is the Bhagavan is not separate from me. He is Antaratma. So Bhagavan says, Antaratma mam bhajate. He's not just only in the temples and other places, but he is very much in you. Antaratma mam bhajate. Bhajate here means surrenders completely unto him at all times and anywhere. Saha sarvesham yoginam api yuktatamaha me mataha. So he gives even ultimate ticket to this particular person. Amongst all yoginam api yuktatamaha me mataha. Yuktatamaha. He has got his intellect properly invested in the right direction. That is my opinion. Me mataha. Thus, Bhagavan declared about this whole Atma Samyama yoga, finishing with the Shraddha Mam Antaratma Mam Bhajate. And in the Ashtanga yoga, we saw how Bhagavan very beautifully took all these ones. Again, revise this shlokas of this 47 shlokas in this chapter, and then see how we have divided this portion. You will be able to grasp that knowledge. And once you grasp that knowledge, again, as Bhagavan guarantees, it will never go away from you. It will come back to us at the time when it is required. With that, I will finish this class today. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Atma Samyama Yogo Nama Shashtodhyayah Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Tat Sat. Ata Gita Mahatmyam Dharovacha Bhagavan Parameshana Bhaktiravya Vicharini Prarabdham Bhujyamanasya Katam Bhavati He Prabho Shri Bhagavan Vacha Prarabdham Bhujyamano